Hello everyone. So today we'll be doing a short character development walkthrough on how to create an AnzirAct character. So this walkthrough will also focus on the development, like how do you write it in a way that players will be able to relate to these characters, and the life experiences, the background stories, relationship trees, secret objectives, secret identities, and so on. So today we'll be exploring on how to write one of a logical deduction games, like a murder mystery act. And um, I will first write a male character, and then I will write a female character, and then let's see where time takes us. And then we can see if there are any questions, and I will try to answer them. So in this Anzir Auto platform, we can see that we go over to AnzirAct, and then we create an AnzirAct. So I won't be focusing on the AnzirAct first. So this one I will be going through this on the next sessions. For this, we'll be focusing on creating a role. So for this role, for male character, let's say if I do not have a name for him now, I can give him like male A, and then select. So names can be changed later on, and then we can see where it goes from there. Whenever you get a inspiration, like okay, I want this person's name to be, um, to be, let's say for example, Ash Ketchum, and then we'll have Misty and Brock and so on. So character names actually can play a interesting part in how the story unfolds because of wordplay. So let's just assume that this person is 36 years old. I'll leave the role description out and the tips out first. So once this the whole story of this character comes out, it will be easier to describe the roles as the and provide the tips. So for this new script, what does it mean? It means that when this player receives the script, they will be able to see like an example of, let's say this is an act one, or um, his early life sort of. So for this one, I would say that this past, I would just give him past life. Probably past would not be like early life. The script introduction as well is also like a quick and crisp introduction on what this script is about. So, like, say, this early life, this person's experiences between the age of 0 to 40 or 36. And then we can just write in this script so that it makes it easier to actually understand what this script is about. So, I will just skip through this first. Okay, so here we'll click over to content, and we can start on writing Act 1. So we don't actually have to say that this is Act 1, but it will be much more logical or as a process to show users or players that this is the first act of this whole story. In other cases, there are authors that also change this to prologue or rules, for example. So we'll keep it as it is. As Act 1, and then we can begin writing. So how do we start with an writing characters? We want the player to be able to relate the character. So most of your text should be you. So this way players can immediately see this part and says, okay, you are this person's name and you are a detective. So this way they'll be able to read, okay, so my name is this and I'm a detective. So usually we can start by says, okay, you this sets having years and times gives users or give players a timeline to follow. So we can also backtrack like, okay, what year is this story set in? When is this character born? When how is their life history like? What's their story like? So in this next sentence, we see that you were born in 1960 in a small town in Tokyo, Japan, to a normal family. So we can see that, okay, this person is actually um, pretty old, 36, and he's born in a small town. So um, there are some more advanced writing techniques that also can cover up a lot of identities. For example, previously when I created a character, his age is 36, but it could be a hidden identity. So, for example, if I say that you were actually born in 1960, so it's for example, this story sets in 2000, year 2000, but it says you are actually born in 1960, so there's actually a 4 years difference. So there are some writing techniques that are more advanced. So we'll start off with this short, sweet and simple introduction first. So now we go on to his family, and it shows that your father is an owner at a small restaurant and you have been helping out as a waiter since young. So this also can set a precedence on this character's upbringing, and how is he like with his parents, or how is it like with his family. So we also start to add more character traits to give the player an idea of what type of character is he. So we can see that this person is a detective, but he was a waiter since young. So he is actually very helpful and cheerful. And then why did he become a detective? Now, this is an important part that says that, so this player or this character has the life goal of helping people when they grow up. So this person wants to help people, and then that's why he's a detective. So now we close this sort of this section on, okay, this character, why did he become a detective? Because he wants to help people. So for this part, we can skip some part of his lives which we think that it may not be important. So for example, we may not need to know his teenage years. We do not maybe need to know what he's he like at a young adult. So we can also um put in some very very critical information that is useful to the player. So for example, here we can say that. So in 1982, this character graduated from university and managed to pass the local special task force examination and became a policeman. So this sets up the next part on how did he become a detective. So when he became a policeman, he really worked hard, and then he was one goal or one step closer to his goals. So this we can also like say is so this is also to provide a correct by adding this it says definition or more description of this section. So gives the correct user a player the idea that okay, a policeman is the first stage of the police career. So how did he manage to climb the ranks to become a detective? Speaking Discord as well. Sorry, you speaking on the Discord as well. Okay. Need the demo. Testing, testing. Testing. Is there audio now? Okay, so sorry. I realized that I haven't been audio for the past while. So, in each, so if we go back to the start, so we'll start by having each act, and then we can set a precedence for characters on their development, like telling the player that you are this character's name, and you are a detective. You are born in 1960 in a small town in Tokyo to a family. This Each of these lines will be able to provide information on these characters and to add more substance to the characters and to show that why or how does the values or the character traits that they have been adapting in the past or their past life or sorry in their early life. So back to this section where this says that an important milestone that says in 1982, after you have graduated from university, you managed to pass the local examination and became a policeman. And when we define it for the player, that says that this is actually a first stage of the police career. So we can see that the uh, character actually go through a lot of hard work to become where it is now. So we are slowly adding character traits and make the player really relate to this character. So now we are adding some information about the story, like you were stationed in a small town slightly away from the center of Tokyo, which means that this person may not be it's probably a small time policeman that is not that's just protecting a small suburb. And 2 years later. So 2 years later, you passed the first promotion examination and became a um local task force. Okay. So we are slowly adding more details to the character's background and to actually beef up the this character and make it more relatable. So we say that this character is very detailed and empathetic and has quickly gained the approval of the superiors and allowed the character to join on more serious cases, which increase his on the job experience. So we can see that this character is very hardworking and is very capable of working on serious cases. So after this, we will be able to hop onto the next important milestone in this character's life. So So this also starts to add more um, um, character details. Like, so we can see that this person got into university and attained became a policeman at age 22 and managed to become a local sergeant by in 2 years, so 1984. And then after he got um, promoted, he was transferred to a bigger and more specialized precinct. And then coupled with physical and mental capabilities, he was just one step away from another promotion. Okay, so now I'm writing about one of the cases that are or this milestone that plays into the story about writing the first important um, case or incident that happened in this character's life, which he experienced. So it was about 6 years later after he joined the sorry, after 8 years about that he joined the police force. He he had a very serious case, and this whole city or this whole police departments was in uprising or in turmoil. And what happened was that there was a gang dispute that ended up in murder. So they managed to arrest this murderer, and they found out that she was actually a 15-year-old teenager. So this is a so this starts as a precedence of like, or sets up as a foundation of what's going to happen later on, because um there are like sort of like laws or um the legal concerns that protect the minors from getting getting prosecuted as adults. So there are some interesting aspects that an author can use from real life scenarios in their own stories. So, for example, this case I use like, what if a teenager commits murder? So, this also provides this character's experiences. So, by having this sort of very interesting questions or interesting thoughts into the story, right? Players will also be um forced or not forced, or they want to relate to this scenario that says, what if I'm the detective now and there's a 15-year-old teenager that commit murder? How should I determine this case, or how would I feel? So this is the sort of emotions that you want to instill in your story. So now I've added more information towards the case itself to give a better idea on what did this murderer do, or how did this case come about. So um we earlier said that it was supposed to be a gang dispute which ended up in a murder case. Now we explain that it was actually an ambush to teach this person a lesson, and then this person fended off himself. So now we just instill another moral or ethical dilemma or legal dilemma on, like, this considered self protection, where you want to defend yourself, self-defense. So then we slowly add to this case to make it very, 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 solid, like giving a very solid backstory. So I can go very detailed into this case, like say, what is this murderer's name? How is the backstory with the murderer name? The family background, his past story. But then this is like the rough idea for on how to write through this character development. So maybe here I'll be like, okay, so here I've written like, okay, in this section I want to write more about the murderer's backstory, how the murderers was arrested and how did the gang name come about. So this usually doesn't add a lot of information for the character to relate, but it may be a plot or or foundation for the oncoming plot. So for example, if the whole story was about this gang name and how the players are involved with this gang, then writing about the murderer's backstory, how the murderer was arrested and how did the gang name come out, can provide a lot of insights towards this player to explain, okay, so we will be playing about um this AnzirAct, and this gang name is part of the AnzirAct. So for example, let's say one of the local gangs name means the Red Rose, and this whole AnzirAct name could be also called Red Rose. So this is some of the writing styles that authors have. So let's say I'll jump quickly through the next phases. So for example, like says, okay, so in this section, I have added, like says, in the upcoming years, the investigation stop, and then when you put a stop to the character's progression, there must be a event or a way to progress the oncoming story. So in this part, I says it comes to a stop. So I would want to write on how did this character get problem information and how through what means. Could the character meet someone new? So for example, if he's a detective, he could be chatting with the nearby restaurants or nearby establishments to get more information through the people that come and go. So he might have met like probably a bartender and then gotten more news about this whole investigation. So okay, at this part, I think there's a lot of information. So, usually Act One could probably be like 2 to 3 pages long, or like usually even longer because it sets the foundation for oncoming stories. So we can see that how this character grew and how this character um took on cases and how this character met new people. So in this section, I would write about the very important about event of this character that made him turn bad, or maybe this person break his beliefs. Because in the start we says that this um character has the life goal of helping people, but as some story goes or some drama goes, there's always a plot twist. So this is usually where a plot twist should go in. You can tell them, okay, at this year in your life, this is a very important life event and what made you turn bad. So for example, I think I can write a bit more about this event. So for example, you and your uh, wife were welcoming a new child. This is a rough idea, but it may not be actual. So it's sort of like it can be impactful, like making a player feels very very heartbroken at some events. You don't have to go very extreme. So in this case, it's like someone that's very close to these characters, like you and your wife were welcoming a new child, very happy together. But I went home one day and saw my wife lying in a pool of blood and had a very messy home. In this part, the player will start to think of, oh, did it got robbed, or did something happen to the wife, and then they'll be able to start to thinking of these scenarios, and then we can slowly explain that, you know uh, like what happened to the wife, uh, and there's a very interesting part here that we can actually do. So if we see that this previous case, that the murderer is actually a 15-year teenager and had a murder case, right, this could be replicated. So in this case, right, if I wanted to do something interesting, I can say, Okay, so I've added some new information. So it says that wife got stabbed, and the suspect was quickly arrested, and then found out that the murderer is actually a 16-year-old teenager who just wanted to rob the house, but found the wife. So now this is like a reminiscence or deja vu that this thing happened before, and the character will now be required to reinforce, like, okay, in the previous case it was self-defense, but in this case, when it happened to your own personal life or your own personal the close ones, what should the character do? What should the player do when he experienced this life? And then we can add on to the oncoming events. Like at this 1998, what did he do? 1999, what did this person's do? And then for this year 2000, what did he achieve? Did he manage to kill off the people? Did he manage to take revenge, or did he turn vigilante, like for for teenagers that doesn't get prosecuted by the law? Did he hand out justice by himself, or did he still want to help people? Because if he helped the previous person to escape the law, or like protect himself from the law, then what happens now? Is So we can like add all this information. And then I will continue to write based on this. So I think at a very important part, that at the end, that um, character development or X need to go right, it's objectives. So so at this stage, I'll probably have an objective like, say, um, so objectives adds task or fun, not really fun, like things for players to do, because we wouldn't want this to just be a story. We want this AnzirAct designed in a way where players can interact with the characters. They can interact with the story through these objectives. Because let's say for this two objectives, that first one is, please do not reveal that you are secret identity, means someone in the other story, someone else's story may be investigating who is this secret identity. And I am the secret identity, so I will never let this person know that I'm this, but they will definitely go around and ask. So maybe for player two or character, so someone else can have the objective of find out who is this secret identity, and my objective is do not reveal that you are secret identity. So we can see that this is a clash. But in reality, when you are trying to when a game is being played, these objectives helps to progress the flow of the story. So they will be discussing like, hey, oh, I'm actually a policeman, and I'm actually researching the case of the robbery back in 1997 because I'm very intrigued about the case, and then people will start sharing information about this case. Then another player might discover that, hey, if you are a policeman, does this mean that you are very good with um guns, very good at like finding like detective work? Then the player will be like, no, 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 I'm just a normal policeman researching about this case, sort of stuff. It adds a bit of interaction. It adds a lot of interactions and fun within the game, where players start to point fingers at each other and say, hey, are you actually this secret identity? Then it says, no, 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 I'm not this secret identity. So having objectives based on the task or based on the character's life story is extremely important to provide the interaction. This is also one part or one way to make stories longer. So a typical mystery act or Anzir act lasts about 4 to 5 hours. So most of the time will be spent on reading, and then another part, a majority of the time, will be spent on interaction. So reading this whole section could probably take like 15 minutes, and then objectives, when they discuss, they could probably take about 15 to half an hour. So at this part, right, I have these objectives. So what I could actually have here is actually a mini act. Okay, so what does a mini act entails? A mini act helps players to really sit into their role. Because if, let's say, I'm just telling a story, you'll just be reading and interacting. It's having mini acts encourages them to take part in the story itself. So, like for example, I could have like, so for mini act, when it is being played out by um, characters or players, usually the game master will start the narration like says, "Hey, the surrounding air was heavy with looks being thrown at each other. Everyone held defensive stances, and no one seems to want to make the first move. After a short period, this person decided to break the tension. And then this person will be saying this line. So he will say, I'm not sure why all of you are here, but there are some of you that should not be here. And then let's say we just create a character A. So we will highlight this, bold this name, or even make it bigger, make this, let's say blue. Uh, let's see this one. Okay. So this helps to highlight this section here. So it makes it easy for the player that's experiencing these characters to read his line, because if let's say there are many lines here, so if let's say I'm just going to copy to actually show you an example. So if let's say all of these lines, it is a little bit difficult to find what do you want to say. So by highlighting the lines that this character that's or this player that's holding this character's booklet, it will make it easier to reference to, or like when to know when it's my time to speak. So having a mini act helps progress in a story. So for example, the last line could be um, by the game master. So a mini act often leads to ice breaking or leads to the next event. So in this section, it says that the game master will say that, hey, you guys are an interesting bunch. Please do let me know who each of you are while I prepare a grand dinner for all of you. So this is more of like a let queuing. I will cue the players, CUE, queue. I'll cue the players to introduce themselves. So the game master could probably look at the person on his left, and then you'll start in a clockwise direction. That, oh, so person A will be, oh, my name is character A, and I'm a detective. I'm actually 36 years old, and I'm currently out of job because or I'm currently retired, sort of stuff. Then, you know, depending on how much the player wants to say, because there's remember that we have objectives, so the player should not reveal too much until the further stages where they share this sort of content. So okay, so this is character development for writing the background stories as well as writing a mini X. um are there any questions, or any one of you feel confused about this event, or I mean this small little workshop? Yes, this recording is actually recorded, so we'll be doing post processing, and then this will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel, and also in this Discord channel, and then authors can also refer back to this character development section and review it. There will also be upcoming sessions, like for example, how to weave the stories together, how do you end a story, mini games, and other interesting workshops that will be coming up. Okay, if there are no questions, we have come to an end, and Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today. I'll still stay around for another 3 minutes to answer any upcoming questions, but that's all for today, and thank you all for coming.